This is Hannibal and Piper here from the HannibalTV.com, and this is going to be my weekly review of the points I find interesting in Dave Meltzer's Wrestling Observer newsletter. Piper and I just read it, and there is a lot of news in there this week, so I'll jump right into it. Apparently, Cody Rhodes has yet to actually sign a contract with WWE, and everything's up in the air. I guess, according to the Observer, they've been working on a Rhodes versus Seth Rollins WrestleMania match. However, it may not take place. Raw this coming week is actually going to be taped from Jacksonville, Florida, AEW's home. So if Rhodes were to debut as we're getting very close to WrestleMania, there'd be an excellent chance it would happen at that point. Apparently, WWE had told their creative team to set up his debut imminently. However, now it might not be 100%. So I guess only time will tell what's going to happen with that. As far as the Madison Square Garden house show that everyone was asking about how many fans it drew last week, since their Christmas week house show only drew about 5,000 fans, with a lot of those being comps. The attendance was 10,600 for the MSG house show, with 8,000 paying. And after a slow start, they added Brock Lesnar and Ronda Rousey to the show, and that helped a lot. And they ended up doing an angle with Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns where Lesnar bled. Steve Austin has been announced for WrestleMania to do an in-ring segment with Kevin Owens. Pat McAfee is going to wrestle Austin Theory. It was heavily rumored that he was going to wrestle Vince McMahon, but apparently that is not going to happen now. However, Vince McMahon still might be part of the match, perhaps doing something at ringside. It was announced this week that Vader is going to be in the WWE Hall of Fame, and I just released the Raw version of my shoot interview with him that was done just before his death. And there's some content in there that has never been released before. And you can really get an idea from that Raw footage what Vader's personality was like. I did consider him a friend. Cain Velasquez, who's wrestled for WWE and is a two-time UFC heavyweight champion, was denied bail at a March 7th hearing for the recent shooting that he was involved with. The Iron Sheik is apparently going to be the subject of one of WWE's A&E biographies. Dynamite this week did a 0.4 rating, as Piper wants to come up and say hi again. The show drew 3,000 fans total, with 2,600 paid, from Estero, Florida, and it was one of their lowest drawing Dynamites ever. Raw did a 0.46 rating and had 8,189 fans at the show, which I believe was from Cleveland, and there was 7,200 paid for that. NXT did a 0.31 rating. SmackDown did a 0.59 rating and drew 6,600 fans, with 5,800 paid from Miami. Rampage did a 0.22 rating, 3,700 fans with 3,300 paid from Orlando. So they actually outdrew Dynamite. In other AEW news, it looks like Revolution did somewhere between 148,000 and 165,000 pay-per-view buys. As far as Tony Khan's purchase of Ring of Honor, he is going to be the booker of Ring of Honor, and I can only imagine they're going to keep it going. I guess it's unknown whether Ring of Honor is still going to air on the Sinclair syndication stations that it was airing on when Sinclair owned it. I guess only time will tell. Meltzer points out that Tony Khan is already a management figure for an NFL team, a UK soccer team, and runs AEW, and now he's going to run Ring of Honor, so he's going to have a full plate. And this is one of the reasons why I hate modern wrestling. I guess William Regal went long on his promo for this week's Dynamite, and apparently it pissed some people off, and he did a public apology saying, quote, "This is a professional note from me, as I have no other form of social media and would rather my new colleagues see this, as I don't gossip. I am very sorry to everyone affected by my time issues last night. I apologize to everyone personally affected. I should be showing people by example and being a pro and hitting my times," end quote. So the reason I hate this is just like they don't even try to kayfabe at all anymore. It's just presented as a show, and they'll publicly post stuff about backstage things like going over on times for interviews, and it just makes suspension of disbelief and realism just non-existent. And I'm all about realism and suspension of disbelief, which is why I don't really like modern wrestling at all, other than a few things. I mentioned in my update last night, it was cool seeing the Hardys back together, as Jeff Hardy, of course, in case you didn't hear, reunited with Matt on Dynamite. And Matt, by the way, also signed a contract extension. You can only assume that might be to match the time that Jeff is under contract at AEW. But overall, there's just no believability, very little left in wrestling. It just doesn't interest me. And apparently, speaking of the Hardys, WWE did not actually own their music, so AEW was able to get the rights to it. And I am wearing my new Blood Hunter sweater, which you can get. The link is in the description to our merchandise site for the Hannibal TV, and it's also on the HannibalTV.com page. And the producers of the Blood Hunter Thirst and Rage film, as well as the special effects supervisor and director, are already getting to work, testing out some equipment and preparing for that exciting independent film that I'm going to be involved with. Mike misses Piper. Well, she's right here on my lap. Dan says they can pay him to go to a show. Colonel Quayle, what are my thoughts on coal miner gloves matches? I was never really into them. Paul saying hi to Piper. Calivander says hello. Thank you. Hurricane Maverick, what's up? I'm doing great. Wonderful. It is the morning, so I'm still waking up, drinking my protein drink. Then I'm going to drop Piper back off and go do a workout. My first workout of the day. I plan to do 3 workouts today. I'll tell her hello. Piper, Hurricane Maverick, Alexander 7 says hello. Jonathan says he doesn't see Austin wrestling. Apparently, they're not saying he's going to wrestle, that it's going to be an in-ring segment with KO. So for people that we're expecting him to wrestle, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. And if he was going to, we're less than a month away from WrestleMania. You would think that they would want to start promoting that now. Silent but Deadly says, thank you for the updates. Well, no problem. And by the way, we are back doing channel memberships. Now there's a different form of them where you can get loyalty badges. And the big thing about this is it's a way to support my interviews on this channel and my projects. And I will prioritize your questions if I see you are a channel member, if we have a shoot interview, because everyone knows you can't always ask all the fan questions in the shoot interviews because of time restrictions. So it's a good way to support me. I'm not doing Patreon anymore. And this way you can help me out. I know I got a lot of great fans out there, 315,000 strong on YouTube alone. Plus, we have a Facebook page at the Hannibal TV that gets excellent hits these days. This video is streaming on there right now. So if you're not subscribed on Facebook, just click the like button. There's no ads on the live streams on Facebook. When am I going to go through the forbidden door and join AEW? As I just said, wrestling is just, it's not the same to me. And I'm not a character that they would like, because I'm like an old school character and an old school style wrestler. So I'm happy with YouTube. I'm very satisfied with YouTube. And I'm extremely happy with what I'm doing. And if I just wrestle here and there for Great North Wrestling in the future, that'll be good for me. But mainly what I'm interested in now is working on this independent movie, Blood Hunter, Thirst and Rage. So appreciate everyone watching. Wish everybody a good weekend. Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please help me out and like this video, then click the subscribe and get notifications buttons so you don't miss any of my latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news updates. Follow us on Facebook at the Hannibal TV for more live streams and videos. And while you're at it, follow us on Instagram and Twitter at the